Hi, I'm Kayla. Welcome to 4-String Farm. I'm gonna make one of my favorite things that we make at the farm, thick cut pork chops. These pork chops are so tender and juicy, and I'm gonna tell you the secrets of how to get the best pork chop of your life. Secret number one is choosing the best pork chop. These pork chops are pastured. What does pastured mean? Pastured porkers have access to forage and more of a wild environment. And what this does is creates a healthier cut of meat. So if you look at our pork chop today, we got a beautiful chop that's about 1.5 inches thick. There's some nice marbling in there, not too much because it's a leaner cut, and you've got your fat on the outside. So if you're trying to avoid too much fat, you can simply trim that off. But this is going to be a beauty once we cook it up. First thing, brining. Brining is a critical step in getting a tender cut of meat. The way that we do it is the most simple brine possible. That's a 1:8 ratio salt to water. So here I have 2 tablespoons of salt and 4 cups of water. And what you want to do is make sure that you stir in the salt until it dissolves. And what this brine is going to do is it's going to go by osmosis and actually trap the water and salt into our pork chop. And that is going to make our meat nice and tender. And the salt's also going to denature some of the proteins and break them down. So instead of that stringy, tough meat, it's going to be succulent in our mouths. That's what we're going for. So this is the most simple brine you can have. You can add anything you want really to brine. Spices, herbs. So most people add some source of sweetness. Sugar, molasses, light brown sugar. Just experiment and have fun with this step. I like to keep things simple and add flavors as I go. So this is as simple as it gets. Now I'm gonna immerse my pork chop. I'm gonna cover it and put it in the fridge for at least 4 hours. You can keep it up into the fridge for overnight or about 12 hours, but more than that, and you're really risking it to become too salty and edible. Okay, so our pork chop's been brining for 4 hours. We removed it from the fridge. And now I'm going to rinse it off and pat it dry with paper towels. So I'm just finishing patting this off. And make sure it's nice and dry. And what's that doing is it's removing excess moisture so that when we cook it, it's not going to steam it as well. It's just going to have a nice sear on the meat. So now I'm going to go ahead and apply some pepper and get it nice and crusted in there. I'm gonna turn this is freshly crushed black pepper. It's worth it. I'm gonna turn my skillet. I've got a cast iron skillet on medium-high heat, and I'm gonna get that preheat and get it really hot. We're gonna flip this bad boy over and do the opposite side. Now it's probably plenty salty, so I'm not going to add salt. But I am going to make a nice pan sauce that's going to have a little bit of salt to it. So that will be the critical element. Okay, so my pan is going to be preheating. And I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil to the pan. Okay, our pan is preheating, and while we're doing that, I have peeled some carrots. These are beautiful rainbow carrots. Look at these guys, they're gorgeous. I'm cutting off the tops now because they're not gonna like it in that hot oven. But I'm gonna reserve them for a later use. Okay, these lovelies I'm going to cut into nice bite-ish size pieces. I like to keep my carrots mostly intact because I think they're just so pretty. Look at these guys, gorgeous. And you guys are in for a treat because this is one of my pan wonders. We're gonna throw everything in the same pan. It's gonna cook and it's gonna be all done at the same time. It's gonna be fabulous and easy and healthy. It's awesome. Okay, so our pan is preheated, and now goes a beautiful pork chop. And let's wait for it. Yes! You're gonna wanna employ your handy dandy venter now because it's gonna get smoky. Okay, I've got some potatoes that I chopped and I left the skin on. I love to keep the skin on the potatoes because it means extra fiber, extra nutrition. I've got an entire head of garlic that I cut in half, 6 or so sprigs of fresh thyme, and 2 nice sprigs of rosemary. All of these guys are gonna go into the pan and become really good friends with our pork chop. Here we go. Let's make some magic happen. So this rosemary and garlic and thyme is gonna infuse into the oil and the sauce that we're creating, and it's gonna be so delicious. Let's throw in some potatoes. I don't know if all of these friends can fit. And we're also gonna throw in some of our carrots. And it's already starting to smell so good in here. I wish you guys were here. I'll have to invite you over next time. Let's get some carrots on that. Oh yeah, now. Gorgeous. So pretty. Now we're gonna just keep layering on the flavor. Add some more salt and pepper to our veggies. A little bit like this. Brilliant. Some pepper. And that is essentially all of the ingredients that we're going to need, except for a healthy dose of butter. Our pork chop has been cooking for about 3 minutes now, so let's check her out. Oh yeah. Oh, that is gorgeous. Just what we want. Let's give our veggies a little bit of a turn. Brilliant. So I'm just going to let that cook for another 3 minutes and get nice and seared. And then into the oven it goes. Let's preheat our oven at 400. Got it. Our pork chop has cooked on the other side for 3 minutes and has gotten a beautiful brown. So we're going to cover this bad boy up and pop her in the oven. Here we go. Big lift. It's been about 15 minutes since we put our pork chop in, but it looks ready to go. So I'm going to take her out. Look at this. So lovely. Oh, yes. Brilliant. And don't forget, the lid is hot. Perfect. Now, we want to let her rest. So I'm going to move her to a plate and start plating so that she can get some rest and let the juices redistribute. So here's my plate. Here we go. Some of our beautiful carrots. And it's so nice because we did pan saute them, so they've got that nice caramelized, sugary, brown bits there. And the same with our potatoes. You can see it's just gorgeous, and they're nice and tender from getting roasted. We've got little bits of rosemary. Now, a whole sprig of rosemary is probably going to be too overwhelming for some. The thyme is not so bad. But we're going to remove all of our vegetables out of our pan except for our garlic. We're going to leave him in. And I'm going to show you an easy trick to make a simple pan sauce. So this needs to rest for about 10 minutes. A little bit longer is actually better, but that's about as long as I can wait. While that rests, let's make our pan sauce. I'm going to remove the woody stem of the rosemary. You can actually add the rosemary back in and trim it. I don't mind a big clump of rosemary, but my husband does, and it can be a little bit unpleasant to chew. So here's an easy trick for your garlic. Instead of having to chop up all of your garlic, you can put the entire head in, and with this flat edge of your knife, just squish it out. There you go. And as you see, it's cooked. It's caramelized, it's very tender, and you can even just squish it with the flat end of your knife, and it almost makes that yummy garlic paste that you would normally get from like a mortar and pestle. So we're going to put that back into our pan along with some butter. We're going to put this over low medium heat. Of course, the garlic is already cooked, so we're going to do it for the other side of the garlic as well. So just the flat side of your knife. How easy is this? Because I hate nothing more than removing the skins from every single garlic clove and a head of garlic. It's so tedious. Oh yeah. And it smells so good. It's got that sweet roasted garlic smell. Look at that. Beautiful. Nothing but flavor there. Okay, now we're gonna get our wooden spoon. My best cooking friend utensil in the whole wide world. Just smash. These are the little bits that got away from us. And as you probably know, all of this yumminess on the bottom is where the money is. That's where all of the flavor has built up from our veggies and our pork chop. So we're just gonna harness that delicious flavor palette with a little bit of butter. You could add white wine to this if you'd like and make a wine sauce. Just make sure that the wine cooks out, especially if there are kids at home. But I'm just gonna use butter. And we still have some rosemary bits in here, as you can see, and some thyme. Take out the larger pieces of that. You just want it to get melted and to scrape off tasty bits on the bottom. Perfect. Brown butter sauce. Look at that. Yummy. Oh yeah. It's as good as you think. It is. Okay, this is my favorite part. The pied de résistance. The brown butter sauce going all over that pork chop. Oh yes, and the vegetables. Oh my gosh. Not wait to try this. Look at that. Gorgeous. And there you have it. A dinner for two that is healthy, delicious, and easy in one pot, and hardly any dishes. Hallelujah. Hope you enjoy it. Look for more videos from 4 String Farm.